We're back. It's John, and I'm joined by Mo this week.
Hi.
First time in a while. Thanks for coming back on camera.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so we've been kind of heavy on the promotion of skiing and snowboarding because that's a big part of our business this time of year. But we realize a lot of you folks enjoy the outdoors without sliding down hills and riding up chairlifts.
That would be me, John. I am not a skier, snowboarder yet.
It's on the list.
On the list, for sure.
So if we could tell you guys that you could go to the busiest parks and have the quietest experience, get the campsite of your choice, not a bug around. You'd wake up in the morning, you'd be the first ones on the trail. Would you be all in, wouldn't you?
Sounds like a dream, John.
It does sound like a dream. What's the catch?
Oh, that you have to camp in the winter.
Yeah. Have you winter camped before?
I have, yeah. It's a fun time for me, and I especially love that I'm just able to get outside and enjoy the crisp air.
So if that doesn't sound like fun to you, but maybe something that might interest you, we're going to cover some of the stuff that you will need to be comfortable, safe, and have a good time winter camping in Michigan. So keep in mind, this is the Midwest. We're not high on a mountaintop. We don't have a lot of extreme weather, and we have some great areas to go. I would recommend anything off the North Country Trail. National Forest land is open for camping all winter, as is State Forest land. Little known fact, State Forest, or what are those called? State game areas are not open to camping. So if you're using those, that's not really legal. But if you're not as adventurous, but you want to give it a shot, maybe a state park.
Yeah.
The cabin.
I've camped up at Wilderness State Park. We rented a cabin up there a couple years ago, and it was a great experience. Really enjoyed it.
And then even closer, if you haven't caught it, our friends up in Rockford, Detach Primitive, have a really nice piece of property with some yurts and cabins, and they're open year round. And get that winter camping experience without maybe having to haul all your stuff in.
A little closer to home, too. And plus, if you wanted to go to breakfast in the morning, nobody's going to tell you that you can't.
I know it's like 7 minutes to Herman Boy's for a cup of coffee.
Absolutely. Sometimes the proximity is what's important for winter camping.
That's right, and there's a lot to do locally. So, so there's some basic stuff that you'll need if you are going to spend a night even in a cabin. You're going to need a good sleeping bag.
Yeah.
Rated probably down to 5 degrees or 0.
Yeah.
If you're spending the night in a tent, you don't really need to have a 4-season winter camping tent in Michigan. No. As long as you've got some decent pole structure, probably a 3-pole tent would be important.
Yeah.
But if you really enjoy winter camping, a single wall tent going to keep you warmer. But those are really heavy and they're pretty much a one-trick pony for winter time, and so you don't get as much use out of those. So, and then what you're sleeping on, a good insulated sleeping pad. And then we always recommend, if you're out in the snow, taking a closed cell pad, so one of the more inexpensive pads, and putting that on the ground, and creates a much better R factor to your existing pad.
Yeah.
So clothing, potentially you're going to be doing something active during the day, right? You mentioned cross-country skiing and snowshoeing.
Yeah.
What happens when you're doing that stuff?
Get cold pretty fast. So you're going to want to pack some pretty good gear with you.
You get wet, right? You're active and you're sweating and whatnot during the day. So when you get to camp, you want to take all that off and put on fresh, dry base layer, lots of fluffy, insulated mid layers, and then you can potentially use your shell again.
My recommendation is if you are packing socks, pack more socks than you think you're going to need.
That was on my list too. Socks, and socks.
Yes.
Get a good, heavy, thick pair for at night around the camp. And booties. Either camp booties, which we sell here, or a dry pair of winter boots. Might be a little extra weight to drag in, but you don't want to spend the night in the same boots that you snowshoed or cross-country skied in. Your feet will be cold. So big roaring fire, always a benefit to winter camping.
Always a benefit to camping.
Adds ambiance, adds warmth. I've watched it eat a lot of shoes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You inch it closer and closer to the fire, so just be careful. Don't melt the bottom of whatever footwear you're wearing, especially if it is your cross-country shoe, because it won't fit in your binding in the morning.
Pro tip too, we also have Noso Patches, so if you end up getting singed in the fire, getting a little close, we have options for you to seal up your down jackets.
Yeah, maybe don't wear your best winter clothing out there
Yeah.
if you've got backup stuff, because you probably will have a spark or two on your clothing.
Yeah.
If you're not into fires, you definitely want to stay warm with hot liquids and hot foods.
Yeah.
And you're going to eat a little bit more, and you don't have to feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
And you want to stay hydrated. It's like you don't think about that as much when you're out in the cold, but a lot of water. So small stove kits that you can turn on instantly and melt snow or grab water out of the creek, because it's going to be hard to find water sources.
Yeah.
And then pro tip, if you're going to cook in the morning, pour your water out of your water bottle and into that pot, let it freeze in the pot, and then you can fire that stove up in the morning, and you're not trying to figure out how to get the ice out of your water bottle, because it's not coming out, right?
That's a really smart idea.
Yeah.
And I have definitely been there where it's frozen in my bottle.
Yeah. So, and then you're trying to figure out how can I melt that bottle. So it's a lot easier to warm it up in the pan.
Yeah.
That's kind of some of the things that will make an experience out there fun and easy for you. If you can find somebody that's got some experience, it's nice to go with people that are experienced. But don't let the snow and the chilly weather stop you from going out at night. Man, the stars look bigger. The sky looks awesome. It's pretty impressive.
I've had probably more of my experience with wildlife too, and actually seeing animals more in the winter than I have during the summer months. So definitely a fun time.
Yeah, they're a lot less harassed and moving freely. So lots of great reasons for you guys to check out winter camping. Come on down to the store, check this stuff out. It's Christmas season, so maybe you can get a gift or put it on your list. And then give us a look next week for another version of What's Blank Wednesday. See you later.